Hi guys, out here in the garage this morning. I've been thinking about this for a while now, off and on, and I've decided to start a second channel. And on this second channel would be more of the garage type stuff, machining, repairs, different things, you know, mechanical and so forth, instead of putting everything on the Radio Shop channel. But I know as a lot of you don't care about the garage type stuff, but some of it is going to be related to radio anyway, especially making parts for old vintage radios, you know, like bushings and couplers and shafts and so forth. But I went out and I picked up a few tools, and this is just a 12-inch power snips for cutting sheet metal. And what I'm going to be doing is building a chassis for the Drake power supply, and I want to make it almost similar to the one that normally comes with the MS4 power supply, but we're going to build one out of sheet metal. So I picked up a set of snips to make some cutting on that metal. Also, while I was at Harbor Freight, I picked up one of these combination square sets. Two reasons why I wanted this, and I got several of these 12-inch combination squares. No big deal about them, you know, but this one has a center finder, and a lot of times when I'm turning big pieces of stock like this, if I put this in the lathe, I need to get a center in it. So by putting this on here, I can scribe the center in it and drill a hole and then chuck it up in the lathe and put a live center in it to hold it while I'm turning down a piece of metal like that. And the other reason is for this angle meter here to set angles and stuff. So those two items will come in real handy. And you know, it's Harbor Freight stuff. It's cheap, yes, but I'll tell you what, I've had a real good experience with Harbor Freight stuff, and they stand behind this stuff. So in one of my last videos, I had mentioned that the lathe had broke, and I went this morning to UPS and picked this box up, and this is from Little Machine Shop, and I got several items here from Little Machine Shop. And what's so good about them, a lot of the times if your part on these Chinese mini lathes break, you can order it from Little Machine Shop out of California without having to go and get the part out of China. So the part that we needed was this 80-tooth gear to repair the lathe, and we're going to be probably doing that in this video also, and get this lathe back up and running like it's supposed to. And what happened is a coupling that goes in here, it's a little hardened coupling that goes through here, holds two gears with a keyway in it, and it slides on a shaft. Well, that coupling is hardened and the shaft is not, and what happened due to lack of lubrication, it seized up. The keyway just cleaned the inside of the gear out and stripped off a couple of the teeth. So I now got the part to repair that with, thanks to Little Machine Shop. So we got a couple other items in here that I picked up. We'll go ahead and look at the first one here. So I told you guys I wasn't happy with my current tool post. So I ordered this from Little Machine Shop. There's the part number. It's a quick change tool post set, OXA style, and there's the part numbers and stuff on it. Decide you want one of these for yourself. That's the full part number. Was a box with a lot of little boxes in it. And this should be the tool post itself. Certificate by inspection number 5. So what we have here is a OXA tool post. We'll go ahead and open this up, put all this together. Now one thing I got to do is get some more lighting out here in the shop. And I meant to run by Lowe's this morning. But that didn't happen yet. Okay. Okay, so the difference in these tool posts. You can remember the old one, you saw the tool move in the old one, and the way this one works, that's just a center bushing, but inside this is a cam. It's ground off center, so when this is turned, it pushes these buttons out, and what that does, the dovetails fit on this, and when it pushes it out like this, it causes the tool to rock. It's okay for light cutting stuff, but it just doesn't work that good when you're trying to make heavier cuts. So that is the biggest fault I find in this. Now this tool holder, as you see, has a gib on each side. So when the tool slides on, you can see how this works here. You can see that gib move down. Now this is at an angle, so it stays perpendicular to the thing. So what happens is, it takes that tool holder and pulls it closer and snugs it up against the front of the tool post instead of pushing it away. So it should be a lot better at holding the tool. And we got several tool holders here that come with it. This is the OXA-1. It holds just a standard cutting tool, you know, like this. Just loosen it up, put it in there, tighten down on it. And you got your adjuster screw here, this big nut. And what this does, when you put it in, it drops on there and tightens down. Oh, I can already tell a big difference in that. You can set the height of your tool with this here and lock it down. This way, every time you take this off the lathe and put it back on, you don't have to readjust your tool height. It'll always be there. So that's a standard tool holder. And that was the 250-001 tool holder. It actually comes with two of those. Okay, so this is the OXA-2, and as you can see, it looks identical to the OSA-1. The only difference is the -1 has a flat bottom, where the -2 has a groove cut into the bottom of it. And this is to hold like a round bowling bar or a round style tool. Now this is the OXA-7T. And what this is a parting blade holder. So you can part off the material. And you can see it's positive pressure feed on it. The other one I have, or the old tool holder, has a clamp on top, so it just kind of clamps the parting blade in. This one will slide in, and you adjust this screw, and it kind of clamps it in one place, and it has a little bit of an angle on it. 250-004. Again, a certificate from Inspector 5. And what this tool holder is for is, you can see there's screws in the top and the bottom, and that's to hold a bowling bar. Okay, air compressor come on just as soon as I was starting that. But this is for holding round bowling bars. And I think this is 10mm bowling bar size. Now I have some bowling bars that are much bigger. As you can see, this one's 12mm, so that won't quite work in there. Now this is got a bushing in it. I don't know if it'll come out and you can use this or not. I'll have to play around with it to see. But one thing all in all, I think this is going to be a lot better tool holder than what that oven was. And another thing is the new tools will not fit on the old tool holder base. The dovetail is much larger on the OXA series than it is on this ginseng type stuff. So you cannot interchange these tools together. You see, I can go almost straight into that. So it's a whole lot bigger dovetail on it than what this is. I'm not sure what this is made out of. It's heavy. It feels like steel. So I'm thinking that's what it is. It's like steel. Yeah, and after looking at right here, I can see on the grinding that is a steel tool holder or tool post, when this is all aluminum. And you know how aluminum is, it wears and twists and stuff. So probably what I end up doing is just trashing the old tool post. It's useless, not good for anything. I can make something else out of it to be a special holder, you know, just dedicated to it. But what I'll probably end up doing, since these tool holders are okay, they are all aluminum or aluminium for my UK friends. But I'll probably go here and machine all these out bigger so they'll fit on the new tool post. And that just gives me that many more holders. I think I got 8 different holders for the other tool posts, which some of them, quite a few of them I made because it only came with 4. So yeah, that's probably what I'll do, is just put these in the mill and machine these out so it'll sit on the new tool post. So as you saw in one of the other videos, I had made a collet chuck for the lathe. And you know, it's one thing about using a lathe or a mill is tool holding. And tool holding is really important. The 3-jaw chuck works fine for just doing basic machining. The collet chuck is nice for getting more precision at your machining. But this is something that I've been needing, especially on some parts I wanted to make for some radios, is that I needed a different chuck. So this came from Little Machine Shop. Not sponsored in any way. It's just that I think they're great guys, you know, carrying this stuff for these Chinese mini lathes without having to order it all out of China. But what this is a 4-jaw chuck, and each jaw is independent. And what that means is that when you turn one jaw or turn one screw, only one jaw works. Now this works great with irregular sized parts. Let's say you have a block and you need to mill a hole in one side of it. You can set it up in this to do that with. It's a 3-inch. I'd love to have a 5-inch, but I think the 3-inch will be just fine for right now. And it's actually the same brand of chuck that I have on this lathe, Sanou, S-A-N-O-U. Really can't pronounce that correctly. But this is the K72-80, and it's the 80mm chuck. Okay, I went ahead and took the chuck apart and cleaned it in the parts washer. Get all that gooey stuff off of it to keep it from rusting. And these inserts come out so you can remove the screw drives out of each one, so we're not going to have to worry about that. It's all cleaned up good. We just got to lubricate it. Now, unlike the 3-jaw, the 3-jaw has 2 sets of jaws for it, one inside, one outside. The 4-jaw, they are reversible. You can put them in either way. You can see it's ground, so you can use either side. Some applications you could use the inside this way and the outsides that way. However you need to do it to hold your part securely. But all we're going to do is just put it the normal way, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil on these screw drives in here. Now, I know some of you probably holler, first thing you seen I did was take this spring off the chuck key. And what that's for is that when you put it in, it pushes it back out, so you can't leave this in the chuck and power the lathe up. That would make for a bad day, because it could actually throw this key at your head or something. But guys, you just got to use common sense when you're doing this and using this type of equipment. And unlike the 3-jaw chuck, there's no particular way that these jaws go in. They can go in on either side. The 3-jaw chuck, they're numbered 1 through 3. And it's because they got different teeth, and that way they all come together at the same time. Alright, so that should bolt right onto the lathe. We understand that this lathe is milled out on the chuck to accept this particular chuck on the lathe spindle. And I ordered the mounting bolts, because I wanted a new set of mounting bolts and not have to rely on the swapping out the mounting bolts. That way it has a set of mounting bolts for the 3-jaw, and now there's a set of mounting bolts for the 4-jaw. And there we go, that's now ready to be installed. Okay guys, so now let's get a lathe fixed. Start by removing the cover. And inside here you can see our change gears. Now this is the gear here that is stripped out that we'll have to work on. So we'll start by removing all the gears. Go ahead and remove this 82 gear from the lead screw. And you remove these, be careful because there is a keyway in this. I do want to make one other comment. It's okay to use gloves working on a lathe, but working with the lathe, you should never wear gloves or long sleeves, because you can get caught up in something and pull your arm into it. Alright, we'll need to go ahead and remove this screw from these 2 gears. This is the one that's messed up. Takes a smaller Allen key. And the honest reason why I'm wearing gloves on this, because all this stuff is a bit greasy. Now you can see these 2 gears are put together with this bushing here. I'll go ahead and take the bushing, I'm going to just leave it in this small gear for right now. But there's a keyway up here. I hope I'm getting this into shot because I can't see the camera. But you can see that keyway running outside of that bushing that makes these two gears together. Now this is the banjo bolt that actually seized up to that hardened bushing. So basically all it is now is just cleaning this, putting some grease in it, putting a new gear in. But I want to go a little bit further and clean this stuff up real good. We'll take this collar off. And I should be able to get this keyway out. Let me grab some needle nose pliers. This thing hasn't been off in a while. And again, the only time you would be changing these out is when you're cutting different threads. I'll go ahead and pour this flat washer off. We're going to remove this one nut and this whole bracket will come off. It's a 14 millimeter. There's one washer behind it. There we go. I'll take this banjo bolt out when I get ready to clean all this up because I want to polish this banjo bolt real good. What else I'm going to do is go ahead and disassemble this because there's another bushing that rides on this shaft and that needs to be greased as well. A lot of times, you know, when I'm oiling the gears, oil will run down in it, but it won't hurt to go ahead and clean it and grease it. Also, you can see the other side of this gear shaft rides in this pinion down here, and that helps hold it straight. Alright, I'm going to just go ahead and take some contact cleaner and just clean all this out. Let it run down, and then that'll get all the little particles and stuff out of it. Okay, I got all the parts cleaned up, laying here on the bench, and this is the 80-tooth gear that took the carnage. And as you can see, the inside of it is pretty much gouged out from the keyway, where it just went in and just scraped the whole inside out. And starting right here, most of those teeth are cut halfway off on the top. Now there's one good thing about this lathe is that if it gets in a bind, the controller will shut the motor off. So this gear is no good. Luckily we was able to get the replacement gear from Little Machine Shop. It's the B04-04 and it's the 80 teeth gear. So I want to go ahead and take this gear assembly here apart. I got it all cleaned up, and we want to get some lubrication inside of that. Take the nut off. The gear slides right off, and the inner gear will slide right out. So we'll clean those surfaces up and put that right back together with some lube in it. Little bitty key fell out. Wipe out the inside of this bore. And I'm going to just put some good quality bearing grease on it. Put our keyway back in. Slide our gear back on. I'm also going to put some grease on this stub shaft sitting out the back. Well, and that part's ready to be reassembled. Now as far as oil for the gears, all I use is 30 weight non-detergent oil. That seems to work without any problems. Go ahead and remove this banjo bolt. And washer. Because what I want to do is polish this up a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, but there was a little gouging where it got stuck to the collar. So we just want to polish this up. Now the collar is heat treated. This may be heat treated a little bit, but it's no way like the collar was. Alright, I went in and gave this a good polishing. And all I did was just chucked it up in a drill and used some emery cloth on it. And as far as the grooves that was left by the gaulding, I think they'll be okay. That'll actually give it a place for lubrication to set in. That turns completely freely on this collar now, so shouldn't be any problem. You know, looking inside the bore, it's hard to show it on the camera, but I see no galling or anything in that. So probably what happened was a metal chip got in there some kind of way and probably just caused it to seize up. we'll go ahead and stick this back on here. That should be fine. Alright, we can go ahead and start putting this back together. We'll go ahead and put some grease on this shaft here. And that should be fine now. So that's two places you need to make sure you keep some good grease in, is this bushing and that bushing. Regular motor oil is fine for the rest of this. Alright, we can go ahead and put this piece back on. Now the other lathe that I had that I took back, this hole was actually stripped out from the factory. I had went to change the gears and noticed that this bolt had fell out. And that was due to the threads were stripped out. Alright, that feels good and tight, which turns freely. I got it in neutral, put it in drive. Yeah, we can see all that turns good there. Put it back in neutral. Okay, we'll go ahead and put our adjustment bracket back on. We'll put a little grease around front of this shaft right here. One thing that keeps it from rusting. Plus gives a little lubrication in that hole. There we go. Put our washer and our nut back on. I'll go ahead and pull this gear off with the bushing. Now this gear does come off the bushing. Now we can put our brand new 80-tooth gear on. And that went on without any problems. I'm going to put our bolt back into that. Put this flat washer back on. Stick our keyway in. Put our retaining ring back on. Now we can put our other 80-tooth gear on. There we go. Now we can that back together. All left to do now is just adjust the gears. So there's two adjustments here. You got this banjo bolt that you got to adjust, and you got this nut here that slides. And the easiest way to do them is just loosen both up and just bring the gears into mesh, holding everything in that orientation. And we should be able to snug up our 14mm bolt. Come on the back side and tighten up our 10mm bolt. We use a socket to finish tightening up that 14mm. Let's put some lube on the gears. Plug the lathe back in. Power on and forward. Transmission's engaged. Low speed, and we'll just spin it up just a little bit. That sure sounds better. Put it in reverse. And our lathe is now repaired. Thank goodness. That seems to be the only thing that was wrong. I inspected everything before, couldn't find nothing else. But don't forget, grease those two parts. If you don't, it's going to seize up on you. Alright guys, so now our lathe is back in running order. We can try out our new tools, and we'll go ahead and put the 4-jaw chuck on and give that a try, see how that works, and we'll go ahead and install our new tool post. Again, I know y'all saying plastic gears, but in this case, if it wouldn't been for plastic gears, if the controller wouldn't have kicked out, it could have damaged and bent something beyond repair, and you had to replace a bunch of stuff. But you know, the gears act like a fuse. It had a problem, it took the gear out, and the gear was, heck, the gear was cheap to start with. It was $9.75 for the gear. The quick change tool post is $159, and the 4-jaw 3-inch chuck is $102. So, you know, things happen, but we can expect stuff to break. But in this case, you know, I think it was more of my problem than the Lathe's problem. I should have had remembered to grease those two surfaces, and I did not. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install this 4-jaw chuck. Now you can see the 3-jaw chuck only has 3 mounting bolts. The 4-jaw chuck has 4, and the lathe spindle was already milled out to hold a 4-jaw chuck, so we don't have to worry about drilling any holes. We didn't have to make no back plate. So that saves a lot of time. I just wanted something. Yeah, I would love to go to a 4-inch, maybe even a 5-inch chuck, and not to do heavier work, but just to build a machine bigger parts. And one day I will go to a 4-jaw 5-inch chuck. But right now I think the 3-jaw will be a big improvement of what I had. So I'll go ahead and remove these bolts, and we'll go ahead and put this 4-jaw on the lathe. So as you can see, the spindle was already milled out for different bolt patterns. And this chuck is supposed to fit right in there. Have not even tried it yet, and it does. You can get all 4 bolts in. If they would have made this hole about another 5 or 6 millimeters wider, job would be a little easier. But hey, it's a mini lathe. Okay. And there we go. Alright, so I want to go ahead and mount a new tool post. But as you can see, there's a pin sticking up here. And what this was for was the original tool post holder had these milled out spots. So when the post rotated, it would catch on that, and that would square up your tool post. Well, sometime I found out it wasn't that great anyway, even using this tool post. So we're going to remove that and that little spring. We really do not need it anymore, especially with these new type of tool posts. Alright, there's the little pin. Now see if I can work that spring out of there. And it came right out. So I'll put this in the bag with the other ones. Alright. And wipe that off. Take off flat stones and run over it and take any burrs off. These old flat stones has been in the family for a long time. They will actually belong to my father, and he passed away in July 4th of 1990. So these been a long time, and they were one piece, and they've been cut in half to make two pieces. Okay, so we'll take our new tool post, go ahead and remove the nut from the top, and see it comes with a spacer plate that we don't need. We'll just take that off, screw that in, put the spacer plate away. We can drop our new tool post right on. And I believe instead of using the nut, we tried the original handle that came with the other, the original tool post. And that gives me the option to loosen this up and turn this tool post as I need it. So in a 4-jaw chuck, you have to use a dial indicator to indicate your party and to get it running true. It's not like the 3-jaw chuck, which is a scroll chuck. So normally what I would do is grab my dial indicator, drop it onto the tool post. But this is for the old tool post, so it doesn't fit the new tool post. So I'm going to have to mill this out to get that to work. Okay, I got the slot milled out, a little wider, and dial indicator fits on with no problem now. We'll get a piece of stock and we'll get in the chuck and see how it does. Okay, so the only thing difference about 3-jaw scroll chuck and a 4-jaw independent chuck, like I said, each jaw is independently moves. So to center up your piece, you have to put a dial indicator on it. Adjust it, put it on 0, try to get your part in by eye as straight as you can. Turn the chuck 1 whole revolution, look at where it's at, adjust this jaw, then go to the opposite side and adjust this jaw by half the needle width, half the distance. Let's say if it was 5 thousandths, adjust. Alright, so dummy me forgot to pay attention to the camera that was beeping. Let me know that the memory card is full, so completely lost all that footage. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just face off this piece. I want to just see just how good this new setup works, and see what it does. Now one thing on this lathe that does not have a carriage lock. So to lock the carriage, what I do is put the transmission in neutral and then engage the half nut, and that'll lock the carriage in place. It's not the best way to do it, but I have got to put a carriage lock on this lathe, so that'll be another video. Let's go ahead and try a facing cut on this. I got the camera right here in front of me, makes it a little hard to work with. Supposed to set just about right. Go ahead and gauge the feed. Okay, not too bad. Couple of problems here. I got the part sticking out quite a ways from the chuck, so we're getting a little flexing in this piece of mild steel. And I've also got the tool post, the tool kind of sticking a little bit far out on the tool post. So yeah, not the prettiest finished that we could want. Okay, I went ahead and changed out the insert too. It was a little bit worn. That's a lot better finish. Yep, that's a much better finish with that new insert. The other one's real rough. Okay, I'm pretty much happy with this new tool post. I think it's going to do the job that it needs to do. It sure seems to be a lot better than that that cheaper one that I had, I think it's Jensen. That tool post won't but like 60, under $70. It was around the $60 mark, and this one was 150, so almost double the price. But it's a lot better product, and I appreciate Little Machine Shop, again not sponsored, for providing this stuff over here. Makes it a lot easier than ordering directly from China. But I've made a couple of modifications to this lathe. I think I mentioned in another video about all the screws across here, and that is to put more equal pressure on that gib and keep this thing from wanting to rock. Now, something I do want to do is take the gib out and make a new gib, because that thing is almost shaped like a banana. And I tried straightening it, but it just doesn't work too good. Now, one thing that I did do was there was a terrible backlash problem in the top slide. I mean, you could turn it half a rotation before the top slide even moved, and you can see this piece of aluminum plate in here. And the thing is that the shaft has a rolled lip on it, so when you're turning, it's pushing right against this piece. The next problem is when you go the other way, there was nothing there to really catch it for it to ride on. It was working off of this adjustment ring to hold the tension. That's why that spacer's in there for. It's to hold the tension back the other way. And the problem with that is a lot of times when you're turning it, the adjustment ring would stay still and wouldn't even turn. You would be turning it and it would be like that. So I put this little plate in, and that gave that out of dimension on that shaft a place to push up against. Then I milled out the back side of this piece of aluminum. So I wished I had did a video wanting to at least have one apart, but I'm not going to take it all apart to show it. But anyway, it captures that boss in between these two pieces, and now there is just about absolutely no backlash at all in this. Now you can see on the compound there's that much backlash in there, and this one is basically done the same way up in here. That shaft comes through and it's got that ring around it, and it's captured between the bottom mount and this piece of aluminum. But you can see there's still a little bit of play in there. So what I want to do is take this apart and machine this piece of aluminum block down just a little bit, so it'll go this way, and that'll tighten it up and should be able to get that backlash out. It looks like a whole lot. Let's see if I lock it down on 0. It's a little bit past 5. From about 0 to 5 is the range where the backlash is. So if I machine this piece of aluminum down just a little bit on this side, I believe I can take that up. Now I probably could put a washer in there, but look, you're talking about a very thin washer. In fact, I could probably just put this on emery paper and sand it down, and would just about do it. It's not a whole lot. Alright guys, that's another big improvement for the mini lathe. I've got everything cleaned up, wiped off, and coated with WD-40. Since the shop is not temperature controlled out here in the garage, I always go ahead and clean and then spray everything with WD-40, and that keeps any rust from building up. Hey, what is WD-40 made for? Water displacement, and that's exactly what I do with it. I keep it to use it to keep water from forming on stuff. With no water, no rust. Anyway, y'all have a good weekend, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.